Hi, and welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking into something pretty heavy. It's about how our relationship unravels,
Right.
starting with subtle manipulation and then, well, escalating.
Right. And crucially, how someone finds their way back to themselves after that.
Exactly. We're using personal reflections as our guide here, trying to pinpoint those key indicators of emotional abuse and figure out the journey to breaking free.
The core question really is fascinating, isn't it? How does something that feels like love turn into control and just chip away at your self-worth?
Yeah, and what are the steps, the really crucial ones, to seeing it and getting out? Let's get into it.
Okay, so straight off, these things often start so small you barely notice. Like the source mentioned the scent of cologne, right? Once nice, then kind of unsettling, a sign something's off.
hmm And those little comments about friends, just questioning Sarah's negativity or second-guessing your work choices.
Exactly. Little jabs at your support system, your own judgment, planting seeds of doubt, really.
And the home space changes too. That apartment, meant to be a haven, starts feeling tight,
Yeah.
confining.
Yeah. And then suggestions to cancel plans. Oh, they're not good for you. Vague reasons, but the effect is isolation.
Okay, so this subtle stuff,
Yeah.
how does it, like, gain real traction?
Well, that's often when things escalate. That first time a voice is raised, even if it's not yelling yet, it introduces fear, a new dynamic.
A line crossed.
Right. And then comes the pattern, the blow up or the tension, followed by apologies, maybe gifts, extra attention.
The reconciliation phase,
Hmm.
which makes it harder to see the underlying problem, I guess.
Definitely. It masks the issues. And meanwhile, those subtle digs, the backhanded compliments, they keep chipping away at your self-esteem. It's insidious.
So you feel yourself getting worn down, and the isolation gets worse.
Yeah, friends and family might feel further away. And work feedback, suddenly it feels like a personal attack, even if it's framed as helpful criticism.
And that switch,
Mhm.
from anger to sudden remorse, it must be so confusing.
Incredibly disorienting. Makes it hard to trust your own feelings about the anger. And the control spreads, your schedule, maybe money, who you see.
And then there's gaslighting. That's a big one.
Huge. Making you question your own memory, your perception, like that whole argument about the weekend hike, that's not how it happened. You're remembering it wrong. It makes you doubt your own reality.
Wow. Okay, so this is where we see the self start to really fade.
It's heartbreaking. Aspirations, big dreams like publishing a novel, they just seem to evaporate. Your opinions don't matter as much or they get dismissed.
Your feelings aren't validated.
Hmm.
Your reality is constantly questioned.
Right, and it affects everything. Work performance suffers because confidence is shot, and the body keeps score, doesn't it? Emotional distress showing up physically.
Self-neglect, maybe turning to substances, a bit of wine, then maybe something stronger, just to numb it.
Yes, or even, in extreme cases, self-inflicted pain. It sounds paradoxical, but sometimes it's a desperate attempt to feel something real, or to control the internal pain.
But thankfully, there can be moments, like cracks of light.
Absolutely. Turning points, like Sarah asking those direct questions, are you stuck, or are you choosing to stay? That can cut through the fog.
A real wake-up call. And you start realizing maybe that you're stronger than you've been led to believe.
Yes, that resilience is key. And sometimes the final straw isn't some huge dramatic event. It might be something relatively minor, like that casually mentioned business trip in the source material.
And suddenly all the suppressed anger, the hurt, it just breaks through.
Exactly, and leads to that decisive moment. I'm done. Simple words, but incredibly powerful.
So the decision is made. Leaving happens. But the path after, that's a whole other journey. Initial loneliness, maybe?
Often, yes. But then slowly that loneliness can shift, become solitude, even peace. Support is crucial here. Friends like Sarah, professionals like the therapist, Dr. Evans.
Mm-hmm. Finding ways to rebuild. What does that look like?
It's about rediscovering yourself. Creative stuff like playing guitar, painting. Exercise helps process emotion. Setting small, achievable goals to build back that sense of competence.
And forgiveness comes into play too, right? Forgiving the partner, but maybe even more importantly, forgiving yourself.
Definitely. And accepting what happened. It's not about forgetting, but integrating it. Therapy, support groups, they can help tackle codependency, learn to set boundaries.
Reclaiming power, learning to say no, making your space truly your own again.
Yes. And choosing relationships, friendships, even career paths that feel authentic, not dictated by someone else's needs or control.
And realizing vulnerability isn't weakness. Sharing your story can be empowering.
Absolutely. The scars are part of your story, but they don't define your whole identity.
So, wrapping this up for you listening, what are the core things to take away from this deep dive?
I think really understanding how subtle and gradual emotional abuse can be, recognizing the cycles, the deep impact it has on self-worth, but also, and this is vital, knowing that breaking free and rebuilding is possible. It takes immense strength, but it happens.
Yeah, it really does. So, maybe final thought. Take a moment to consider the dynamics in your own connections. How much weight do you give your own feelings, your own version of reality?
Because recognizing these patterns, even the quiet ones in yourself or others, that's honestly the first, most powerful step towards healthier relationships and ultimately a stronger sense of who you are.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.